How important is that load sensing valve? Let's find out. Anybody need a dog? Got myself a new stray. She's real sweet, but boy, energetic. So we find ourselves. It's Tuesday morning. You know, I try to post my videos on Tuesday evenings, and I due to that turkey bird holiday, haven't filmed a single thing. So, nor do I really have any ideas, but here we go. We got the Toyota. Still one of my favorite vehicles to drive, but at the moment, the brake pedal goes to the floor. And then you panic, you pump them a few times, and you get some brakes. So, you know, not the safest thing to be driving around. So I guess today, maybe, we'll put a brake master cylinder in this thing. I also kind of want to delete the, yeah, you know what that is. You know, that's the technical term. The load sensing valve off the back of this. Not that I think it's problematic. I just think it's unnecessary in our scenario. I already have it disconnected from the axle and zip tied up to the bottom of the car to be as rear bias as possible. But when the brakes were working fine in this thing, really wasn't a whoa, locking up the rear brakes. It was pretty even anyway. So I think we're going to delete the rear load sensing valve, proportioning valve, doodad. Throw some new pads in it, and a brake master cylinder. The brake master cylinder, however, is it's under the dash, and well, gotta go to work today. So let's see what we can do before work. It's also freezing out. I hate it. It's been a few days. Some really cold, wet days. Like a top. All right, we'll let that warm up for a second. I think we're gonna move the AE92 also. Oh! We'll work a little closer to the house. Yeah, this thing looking freaking snazzy, huh? I left that back door open the other night because she wasn't in the house yet, and she is not a fan of being in the crate. So, tried to give her a place to find respite from the cold and or wet back here, and she just wouldn't go for it. Real bummer. This one might take a little while to start too. That's it. No problem. Gotta love a probably oversized carburetor with no choke. It's fine. Look how smooth the idle is. Let these things warm up. I gotta go potty. We'll do the old shift them around and see about pulling the dash out of this van. Not really, just the gauge cluster, hopefully. Swell. Goodness, that thing really does look freaking sweet. All right, get this van moved around, and my drink. Oh my goodness, my drink. Almost. All right, let's get to work. What are we doing? Well, you know, every time it comes to working on anything in this thing, I always start off just confused as to why. Anywho, looks like we gotta pop some screws out. I don't remember, it's been a minute since I had any of this stuff out. But I think we can get this whole gauge surround off and be able to see down in there a little bit better, see what we're dealing with the brake master cylinder. I think the hardware we can reach from down below. Maybe, hopefully, yeah, I don't have any tools with me yet except for this stubby Phillips, so we're gonna start there. It's funny, you know, the way these are designed, where you're sitting over the engine and there's nothing in front of you, is kind of the endearing quality. It makes them fun to drive. But boy, it makes working on them suck. I don't know how this works. I was smarter when I took it apart last time, I think. All right, so one from the bottom, one from the bottom, one from the side, and it's actually just snaps. Needs a bath. Now I guess the gauge cluster's got to come out. I need a longer Phillips head, and ever since I've been doing this YouTube videos, I've lost all of my tools. I don't blame you guys, but I'm also not happy with you, you know? Right, so this is always fun. It's you got a speedo cable back here and a few little plugs. Can't see any of them because, you know, steering wheel. All right. Okay. Speedo releaso. Come on. Oh, that's excellent. My little locking tab for my speedo cable just broke. That's fine, because you can still buy those on the internet. All right. Whew. Let's see. Where are we at? Oh yeah, brake master cylinder. Right where you'd expect it, you know? Right there. Steering wheel, brake master cylinder. No problem. This is definitely one of those vehicles where you would have probably wanted to drain your brake fluid reservoir before you start this, because yeah, it's in the car, so we're probably going to make a bit of a mess. Also, bold of me to assume I should start doing this without ever opening the box and looking at the new master cylinder. Oh yeah, brake fluid everywhere. That's fine though, because brake fluid, it's not caustic, doesn't mess up paint, absorb into things. It's a terrible chemical and you shouldn't get it on stuff. So that's probably one of the reasons these things have a lot of rust issues in the driver's side footwells. You know, brake fluid. Tons of room up here, just so much room. Well, it looks like all the nuts that hold the master on, well, they're going to be 12s. And overall, easy to see, but hard to access. Rolling right along, you know. Started this project friggin' 30 minutes ago. I've got one nut out. I am not the same man today that I was the day I manual swapped this thing in this way worse kind of weather. In one day. Fatter, slower, lazier. I'm gonna go ahead and put some fluid into the brake master cylinder in my nice warm cozy garage. And I'm gonna try to circulate some through it so that it's at least semi-bled and the seals are wet before I put it in here. And meet you back here in 5 minutes. Go! Well, due to the direction of all these ports and the fact that this did not come with a bench bleeder kit, I would not say that this is bench bled. However, there's definitely fluid in there. It's in front of the seals, so it's pumping. Should help us get our initial bleed going without tearing any seals because they're dry. So, did come with these fancy little rubber caps. Plug the holes, so after I got some fluid in them, I just put those back in. That's neat. All right. And just like that, we're done. All right. Let's get this thing back together. All right. Well, we got that thing back in there. Go ahead and top off our reservoir because it's extremely easy to get to. And, well, it's been nice being back here in the backyard. But my little foster pup is terrified of this thing being back here. So I think we're going to go ahead and limp it around to the front yard, work from the garage so she can have free range of her backyard again. And I guess go ahead and run to the parts store real quick in the process. All right. That's fine. So these vans, as well as most Toyota pickups, I think the Nissan Hardbody in the later years had them also, and it affected the way the ABS functioned. But in some way, shape, or form, most truck-ish vehicles are going to have some kind of load sensing valve like this with an arm that goes up to the axle. And basically the idea is that the higher up that arm is, the more load is in the back of the van, and therefore the more brake bias it can put to the rear without having lockup because there's more rear weight back there. Now, these things can get gummed up, they can get clogged up, they can get just not functioning anymore. Or if you're in a performance setting and you wanted to do a manual proportioning valve, maybe put it up front or in the vehicle, then you would still have to bypass this so you wouldn't have any weird nonsense going on. If you've got a winter beater vehicle that maybe sees a lot of corrosion and rust and road salt, once again, this is just another place to fail, and we're going to bypass it today. Easy as pie. Now, haven't even taken the brake lines off, but we're just going to go right on ahead and assume that this little $4.39 inverted flare brake line union for a M10 by 1.0 ORT 2 bypass this no problemo. So let's take a look. Darn it, guys, I'm a failure. Didn't do it. So it's tomorrow. Couldn't get everything we wanted to do done before work yesterday, so I completely failed us. However, I did drive this thing to work yesterday. Had brakes, that's pretty cool. And well, we did get the load sensing valve fully deleted, remember? Because we were going to use this union. No problem. Because in my little brain, you probably already know this if you've seen a Toyota load sensing valve before, but in my little brain, I was like, line go in, line get regulated, line go out, right? Duh. We just put this between them. Well, actually, no. This is a load sensing bypass valve. So, line go in, line go out, line go bypass, back forward into the rest of the brake system. And well, theoretically, you could definitely still get by with one of these. You just have to block the other line, but I really couldn't tell from the front which line was the feed unless they were both kind of receiving feed. I don't know. Hard to say. So what we got here is 3 ports to deal with rather than just 2. So our M10 by 1 brake line union clearly, oh Lord have mercy, wouldn't work in that scenario, but we're crafty around here, so we figured it out. So what you'll see instead is we got a T, brake line T. This is actually the same one that's on the axle over there, because, well, I have one of these axles in my backyard, so I was able to just go grab it. And, well, so you got your 2 in, boop, boop, and your 1 out, boop, and we've fully bypassed the load sensing valve. Now, I gotta say, I didn't give this thing enough credit. I figured, you know, I'm sure it does a little, but let's be real, this van's from 1986 or 7,
And I just really didn't think this load sensing valve really had that much chutzpah to it. And I will say, in a full threshold stop scenario now, she is immediately locking the rears. So, do I think this is a good idea? Probably not. However, these valves, especially for the van, A, extremely hard to come by, and B, if you're getting OEM parts, they are wildly expensive. So in a pinch, you can get a M10-1 T fitting from Inverted Flare from your local parts store, and you could delete on one of these on the vans. It's also the Toyota pickup, Tacoma, blah, 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 all those. So it can be done. I think this fitting from Advance was like 11, 16 bucks, something like that for the T. And your brakes will work just fine. However, you might do the little, drifter kid skids coming up to the stoplight if you're going, whoa, Nelly. So, keep that in mind. Now, this would be a great opportunity for us to do an adjustable proportion valve back here, which I might do in the future. But I'm pretty reckless, and I kind of like the ability to foot brake skid this thing. Reminds me of being a child on my bicycles. So, that's done. Whoa, golly. Those, however, we did not do. So the system is partially bled, not fully, and I did not do the front brake pads yet. And these are actually front brake pads that I took out of that parts van that we used to manual swap this. So these are used pads that had more life that I put in here. So I've got some new pads in the kitchen. We'll toss those on here, and yeah, brakes. Kind of. Let's get here. All right. Rotors look awful. Should have got rotors, but we didn't. A little bit of rubbing there. Anywho, so one of my favorite things about buying parts for this van, and just in general from Rock Auto, is oftentimes you can tell by the packaging, you're getting some real old parts. And I like that. So, we got these Kim Friction Pros, and I guess we'll slap them on there today. The ridge on this rotor is, it's nuts. So, yeah, let's pop that caliper off there. Set that aside for now. Anywho, these things, well, they have definitely got several thousand miles left in them. They're fine, honestly. Might just call it a day. Stick these back in there. It is what I tend to habitually do for this van, is buy parts and never install them. Well, a real quick run these rotors down to the local O'Reilly's and got them. No. Machinist. Hit these with a spot of grease. Probably too much. Yep. It's good stuff. All right. And, slap it together. Wrapped up this passenger side. One of my favorite things about these vans is just how darn quirky they are. And let me just tell you, I would be so mad if mine had a nice interior because, well, from compressing the pistons back into the calipers, the reservoir for the master cylinder overflowed and squirted out of the little vent hole into the interior. Fortunately, though, mine's a clapper with a really crappy interior, and it's, oh well, But man, if this was a high option, like LE with a snazzy velour interior and like real door panels, be pretty darn bummed. So we've wrapped that up, get this thing back on the ground, and go bed in those front brakes. Should be fun because, you know, to bed them in, you're supposed to jam on them. And that means the rears, well, they're going to lock up. So I think if we maybe backed off some of the preload that we have jacked into the rear shoes. Oh no, did I just get grease all over my nose? Probably. Anywho, I have them at very, very, very tight tolerances, shoes to the drums. If we backed some of that off with the newer pads up front, honestly, the braking bias might not be too bad without the load sensing valve. And maybe it would. Maybe that would just increase pedal travel. Not really sure. I'm going to drive it around like this for a little bit, and we'll see. If I feel the need, I'll probably just do an adjustable proportioning valve back here. Primarily because I'm not even sure what brakes are going to end up on this thing. I have plans for axles to swap into it eventually, and you know, it'd be nice to have adjustability. So I guess we'll go test drive this thing. Kind of want to run to the junkyard. Maybe we'll do that. So typically bedding in brake pads is like a couple hard stops from 10 miles per hour. And then, you know, maybe a couple from 20. In reverse? No. She locks up them rears quick. All right, so we did some bedding in. Hard stops, got some heat in them things, and now we can catch a whiff of that brake dust. Not too many whiffs. It's probably got some pretty rough stuffs in it. So, anywho, now we're gonna hit the highway, run on down the road to the junkyard, see if they got any cool stuff we just can't live without, and let these brakes fully cool off. So, new master, load sensing valve deletion, and well, new pads on the front. The pedal could definitely still deal with some further bleeding to get a nice firm pedal, but we do have plenty of pedal. It's good, it's easy to modulate, and you know what it's going to do. So the brakes are definitely working better than they've ever worked since we've had this thing on the road, and that's nice. So just in time for winter. Perfect time to drive this thing around, because it may not only be shaped like a toaster, it's also about as hot inside as a toaster. So it's the perfect winter rig. So, thanks guys. See you later.